Want to bring something sweet to your day? Well, sweet potatoes is the best way to do that, because instead of using industrialized sugar, you're actually eating some good type of sugar, and they're very, very nutritious. So today, let me tell you how to grow sweet potatoes in your backyard. Welcome to Self-Sufficient Urban Gardening. So let me start telling you about planting. The way I plant sweet potatoes is by propagating them. So when we first started, I had a sweet potato from the grocery store that started to sprout just a little bit. Instead of planting the entire sweet potato, of course we wanted to eat it, I just cut a piece of it, a little bit of flesh together with the little sprout, and that's what I planted. And that just one little sprout, of course, spread on my raised garden bed and created, of course, many different sweet potatoes. And that was the start of it. And then after that, you can propagate the same way. So when you harvest your sweet potatoes from your raised garden bed or your garden, you can just cut off the little sprouts if you have them, or you can just enjoy most of the sweet potatoes that you got and cut a few pieces of one big sweet potato and spread it in your raised garden bed, and those should sprout and create more sweet potatoes. So by propagating, you can actually have a continuous harvest of sweet potatoes for a long time. Depending on the region you live, on the climate, you can grow sweet potatoes all year round. So here in Southern California, we don't have snow, obviously, and we have a reasonably warm climate even in the winter. Right now is end of November, and what I have here is my sweet potatoes starting to die out, and this is a good time to harvest. But I can just harvest these and continue to plant them because they will grow through the winter here. Of course, it doesn't get really below 40 or 50 degrees here. So they will definitely grow through the winter, and again, so we can harvest in the spring and do this continuously. Every time you plant sweet potatoes, you propagate them. They take about 4 months, maybe 5 months, or even longer depending on where you are, to create those tubes that you can actually harvest. So you can't really harvest them too early because they will be too small. But 4 to 5 months is about the sweet spot to harvest sweet potatoes. Of course, sweet potatoes, just like beets and carrots, don't really like clay soil or any heavy soil. They really like crumbly and loose soil because they want to go down and spread itself. So if you have clay like what I have here, you actually have to improve your soil by adding compost and other types of organic material so that your soil gets improved through time, and your sweet potatoes can actually explore your raised garden bed and produce even more. So if you have clay soil, then you have to improve your soil, and you can't really water it too much. Obviously, when the sweet potatoes are starting to grow, you want to water them a little bit more frequently. But as you get to the end of your season, like what I have here, I watered it much less frequently so that it can continue to spread, but without the very watery soil, because sweet potatoes are not gonna do well if the soil is damp all the time. Because sweet potatoes like to spread, the vines will grow everywhere and they will cover and take over your entire raised garden bed. So as my sweet potatoes were starting to take the garden bed, I let them crawl down here. So you can see they're coming all the way from up there, going down here, and they're spreading. So you have to plan ahead because it will take the entire raised garden bed. If you have anything else planted there, they will suffocate all your other plants. So when it's time to harvest, now that the leaves are dying back, you can see they're getting brown and all the vines are actually dying. So it's time to harvest. You can either use a shovel, but you have to be careful not to damage the tubes, or use your hands. In my case here, because my soil is a mix of clay and some other organic material, it's very heavy soil, so only my hands will not do it. So I'm gonna use the shovel and try to be careful not to damage the tubes. So let's do it. So now I'm pulling out the vines. There's some tubes that are up here already and maybe more tubes down there inside the soil. Let's just take a look at this. It's a small one to begin with. Here you can see what I planted before was just a little tiny thing that I planted from a sweet potato that we ate, and all the roots took, and now this is the first one. Let's see if we have more down in there. All right, we're digging here, found another one. So now I'm going with my hand so I won't damage the tube. This one looks like a decent size. Let me get closer, dig a little more around it. I don't want to use the shovel here. There's another one here. It might be just one really big one or two. You can see the soil is still a little bit moist, even though I haven't really watered it in a couple weeks. Although it's winter here, it's not too hot. So yeah, this one looks good. Look at that, good size. Not huge, but you know, organic. There's another one here. Let me dig this one out. Yep, another one. So you see the harvest we're getting here. Not too much. There's still more to dig, but looks good. All right, so look at that. We got two big ones here. I dug around it with my hands mostly. Used a little bit of the shovel to loosen the soil on the sides, but mostly with my hands, careful not to damage the tubes. Now a little wiggle. There you go. Look at that. Let's take a look at this one. Yeah. Wow, look at that. That's great. Look, we got another few really big ones. So the harvest looks pretty good this year. Let's see if we have more. So here's the harvest from today. You can see some pretty good sized sweet potatoes. And the reason why it's a pretty good yield is because what I planted was just 3 or 4 of these. And these here are little cuttings from the sweet potato that we got from the store. Instead of wasting the entire sweet potato to plant it and get a larger harvest, I actually just cut the little piece that was sprouting, so we can actually eat most of the sweet potato that we got, and we can again propagate the little cuttings. You can see here how many roots came out of this tiny little cutting that we had, and there were a couple more down here, and they just propagated and gave us all this harvest. So it's not a lot, but it's pretty good for a couple of meals for the entire family. So yeah, sweet potatoes, awesome. So if you like sweet potatoes, this is an easy and low maintenance what is it? It's not a veggie, what is it?
Crop? Harvest?
No. What is it? So if you like sweet potatoes, very easy, low maintenance food, delicious food, and you can actually continue to propagate it. You can see here there's some sprouts and roots coming out. So instead of eating the whole thing, you can cut some of these sprouts out, plant them back, and they will continue to grow. Depending on your weather, you can do it all year long. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel and enjoy your garden.